Hi, my name is Haley Judd, and this is Fruits of Labor Going Deeper. If you have not already watched the main Fruits of Labor video, you'll want to do that now. But for those of you who did, thank you for joining me. We're going to be diving into the Seventh Commandment, you shall not kill, but as always, going a little deeper. What that's going to look like this week is exploring some of the unexpected parts of the Seventh Commandment, things that fall under the commandment, you shall not kill, that you may not have expected. So I think we're going to have some fun. Some of them really took me by surprise as I was reading through the catechism. So we're going to look at 4 things that are included in the Seventh Commandment. And the first that we're going to bring up is gambling. Sort of interesting. You might think, well, that goes along with possessions. But the catechism says this: games of chance or wagers are not in themselves contrary to justice. So for those of you who maybe like to place a bet on March Madness or fantasy football, you're in luck. You're not sinning quite yet. But the catechism goes on to say they become morally unacceptable when they deprive someone of what is necessary to provide for his needs and those of others. The passion for gambling risks becoming an enslavement. Right, so gambling crosses a line when you're gambling away things that you or others who depend on you need, or if it becomes an enslavement. Sort of an interesting thing for us to know. And the catechism goes on to say something that I thought was really cute, which says cheating at games constitutes a grave matter unless the damage inflicted is so slight that it cannot be considered significant. So for those of you who maybe your kids or maybe your mom and dad cheat a little bit when you guys play family games, they're okay unless it's significant. So I'll let you guys be the judge of that. I thought this was good for us all to know, but I wanted to bring this example up and this topic of gambling that's included within the Seventh Commandment, specifically as an example of an answer to a modern question found within the Catechism. Someone might ask you, well, what does the Catholic Church say about bets or gambling? And the Catechism is a great resource for you to turn to find real and concrete answers to such questions. But let's keep going to our second topic that's unexpectedly included in the Seventh Commandment, and that is slavery. So slavery, the enslaving of human beings, is talked about within this Seventh Commandment. The Catechism says, the Seventh Commandment forbids acts or enterprises that for any reason lead to the enslavement of human beings, to their being bought and sold and exchanged like merchandise in disregard for their personal dignity. Obviously, once again, it's always good for us to hear and to know that our church condemns slavery. But it's also a reminder for us to think about what are some ways that maybe we're disregarding the personal dignity of each and every person. Maybe slavery doesn't exist in the same way it has in the past, but what are ways that we put down each and every person's personal dignity? The third thing I want to raise up as included within the Seventh Commandment, but probably unexpected, is care for creation. So in the Fruits of Our Labor main video, we talked about this idea of the universal destination of goods, that God created all of creation for all of us. And this idea continues as we start talking about what our responsibilities are to creation, to the environment, and things like that. The Catechism says, animals, like plants and inanimate beings, are by nature destined for the common good of past, present, and future humanity. Use of the mineral, vegetable, and animal resources of the universe cannot be divorced from respect for moral imperatives. Man's dominion over inanimate and other living beings granted by the Creator is not absolute. It is limited by concern for the quality of life of his neighbor, including generations to come. That was a lot, and it's a really beautiful paragraph. It's 24:15. I might suggest you read it. But it's basically saying that our call to care for creation, to think about future generations and to not be wasteful, to be smart with our resources, that call comes from God. Right? It's not a political issue. It's a call from God based on the idea of the universal destination of all of creation. If this is something that's interesting you, To you, I'd really encourage you to learn more. This is a topic that our Pope Francis, is very passionate about. But just to know that within this seventh commandment, within this idea that you shall not steal, one of the ways we can break it is not caring or being respectful of the creation that we've been given and thinking about the past and the future. The last area I'd like to bring up, which I thought was so interestingly included in this commandment, is all about our relationship with animals. Now, I don't know about you, but animals are a big part of my life. I have 2 dogs and a cat. A lot of my family have animals. I often stop to pet animals on the street. So animals are a pretty big part of our life in America. And I had no idea the Catechism had so much to say about how we are to interact with them. So we're going to walk through it a bit together. It starts off by saying, animals are God's creatures. By their mere existence, they bless him and give him glory. Thus men owe them kindness. We owe kindness for the glory that animals bring to God. And when I think about all the animals in this world, all their shapes and sizes and quirks, it does seem that they truly glorify and say something amazing about our Creator. The Catechism goes on to say, God entrusted animals to the stewardship of those whom he created in his own image. He entrusted their care to us. Hence, it is legitimate to use animals for food and clothing. It's good to know. People have been doing that for a very long time. So the Catechism does say we are able and allowed to use animals for food. And then for those of you thinking about your pets, it goes on to say they may also be domesticated to help man in his work or in his leisure. So I think most of us, our pets are there to help us in our leisure, not our work. Sometimes it seems like they make more work and less leisure, but it is a wonderful blessing that God has given us to have pets in our homes to help us enjoy life. It goes on to say that medical and scientific experimentation on animals is a morally acceptable practice if it remains within reasonable limits and contributes to caring for or saving human lives. This was fascinating to me, that the Catechism doesn't say we can't experiment on animals, but that it's all about saving human lives and doing it respectfully and responsibly. Similarly, it says it is contrary to human dignity to cause animals to suffer or die needlessly. And I think we need to think about that when we look at the world and how we care for animals. But, and maybe this can be a challenge for some of us, myself probably included, the Catechism completes its section on animals by saying, it is likewise unworthy to spend money on them that should as a priority go to the relief of human misery. One can love animals, but one should not direct to them the affection due only to persons. And this is an important reminder for us that inherent dignity that all people have as made in the image and likeness of God is not found within animals, although we are called to love them, to respect them as they give glory to God. Who knew the Catechism had so much to say on animals within the Seventh Commandment? So all of these topics came as unexpected to me, and I loved reading about them, and I hope you enjoyed learning about them too. And we will see you next time on Going Deeper.